This is Mariana's Press. News you can trust. Journalism by journalists. Credible fact-based reporting. We'll ask the hard questions.
And there are those online, no shortage of comments on this, who are accusing you of being corrupt.
Sure.
Are you a corrupt politician?
Absolutely not.
MP is here for the community, centering your story, amplifying your views. Every voice matters.
As a widow and someone who's trying to survive here to raise her kids, this CUC cannot be taken from the less fortunate.
Those elected officials need to return all those leased vehicles, reduce their salaries, and not the poor people burdened with their stupidity.
MP is there during good times and challenging ones.
I'm still sad today.
MP goes there to document history.
This is one of those opportunities that we have to take.
To inform our future.
And now it's time for those educated, younger voters to make a decision that, don't just vote because he's your cousin. Vote because he or she is going to do what's best for the Commonwealth.
This is Mariana's Press, where every voice finds its story.
Mariana's Press, all the way.
All right, good morning, everyone. It is January 15, 2026. Happy New Year to everyone. I hereby call our regular board meeting to order. Ms. Val, roll call, please.
Anthony Del Cruz Barcenas.
Present.
Antonio L. Borja.
Present.
Andrew L. Orsini.
Present.
Macy B. Tenorio. John S. Blanco.
Present.
Jude S. Burgess.
Present.
Dora B. Mura. Here. Ashimar Kodek. Ogumuro Udubon.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, you have all 80 members present. There is a quorum.
Thank you. Can we hear a motion for adoption of agenda?
Motion to move to adopt. Okay.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Discussion? No discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Item number 4, election of officers. Floor is open.
May I step in? Because of the election of officers and there is no bias or anything, I would like to refer that our legal counsel, Tiberius, is online to be the actual pro tem chair for this particular thing, so that in fairness, and then we'll move from there. No objection?
I have no problem with that. All right, council.
If you board members would like that, otherwise the regulations say that the former chair presides over the election until all the officers are filled. But if you'd like me to preside, I could go ahead.
Yeah, I have no problem with you presiding.
So we can begin nominations for the chairperson of the board.
I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to move and nominate the one and only female member of our board to be the next chairperson of this board for 2026.
All right.
I'm making a motion.
No, I think you should just say the name.
Yeah, please state the name.
Oh, the name, oh, of course. It's not dark right now, so okay. Macy B. Tenorio as the next chairperson of the board.
Second motion. Second nomination.
Okay, so let's call, roll call please.
Sorry. Anthony Del Cruz Barcenas.
Yes.
Antonio L. Borja.
Yes.
Ashimar Kodek. Ogumuro Udubon.
Yes.
Andrew L. Orsini.
Again.
Macy B. Tenorio. Mr. Chairman, or Council, there are 5 members voting yes.
Congratulations, Chairperson Tenorio. I need to.
And just for the record, thank you everyone. Just for the record, there's 2 females on the board, so I just want to make sure that Dr. Mira also gets recognized on those lines. So thank you everyone. Let's move on to the election of the vice chair. Are there any nominations?
I'd like to renominate our current vice chair, Anthony Barcenas, for vice chairperson of the board.
Second nominations.
Any other nominations?
Move to close.
Okay.
Second.
All right, thank you. Ms. Val, can you call for the vote?
Antonio L. Borja.
Okay.
Ashimar Kodek. Ogumuro Udubon.
Yes.
Andrew L. Orsini.
Again.
Anthony Del Cruz Barcenas.
Yes.
Macy B. Tenorio.
Yes.
Madam Chair, all 5 members voting yes.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations. Let's move on to nominations for the secretary treasurer.
I'd like to move to nominate our current secretary treasurer, member Antonio Borja Torum, as our next Secretary Treasurer.
Second.
Any other nominations?
Move to close.
Okay. Thank you. There's a motion to close. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right. Ms. Ball, can you call for please?
Anthony De La Cruz Martinez.
Yes.
Ashmar Code Udon.
Yes.
Franco L. Orsini.
Again.
Antonio Del Borda.
Good.
J.C. B. Tenorio.
Yes.
Madam Chair, all 5 members voted yes.
Thank you. Congratulations. And I just want to give, our officers that are newly elected a moment to make a statement if you guys wish.
Yes. I just want to thank you, parents, for all your trust and faith in me in moving forward, and especially helping our teachers, staff, and most especially our students and community stakeholders in moving forward. Hopefully this year will be best due to funding issues, but hopefully we won't go on that direction. Hopefully we work together. I really appreciate you all. Thank you.
All right, thank you, colleagues. Again, really appreciate your vote of confidence. Hopefully this year we can continue to tackle any old policies that we need to go through. Other than that, again, appreciate it. We'll work for the students and the teachers and our constituents.
Thank you. I also want to say thank you to all of our colleagues for your confidence. Even though I'm 5 years in here on the CNMI State Board of Education, I often feel like there's just so much to learn and so much more that we can do to support students and support educators and fulfill our oath and constitutional duty. I think I was reviewing our regulations and constitution recently just to kind of refresh my memory in terms of why I decided to run for the board and what truly is my role as an elected official here on the CNMI State Board of Education. And one of the things that really stood out to me was that the board speaks as one voice. The board acts as one unit, which I think is very unique in terms of all the other boards that operate here in the CNMI. And I thought that was so insightful of the people that created that regulation or that policy or who put in the Constitution, because if we want to really put students first, put educators in our minds always, then we have to work together. We have to speak as one voice for our students. And so that's what I'm hoping for, in this next year and moving forward really for our CNMI State Board of Education, so that, when students look to their policymakers, they feel supported and heard and seen, and likewise for educators. So again, thank you. I'm very open to feedback. If there are things, Commissioner as well, and all of your key management, students, educators, everyone out there, I believe that I can always improve in my role, whether I'm an officer or just as a member of the CNMI State Board of Education. So, I welcome feedback and insight on ways that I can do my role to the best of my ability and support everyone in the system. So, thank you. I appreciate it. Okay. With that, let's move on to item 2 of our agenda.
I'm not on the board, and you asked the board members to speak, but if I may
sure,
say
of course.
a few
I
words.
apologize, Commissioner.
Congratulations to you for being elected to be the next chairwoman of the Board of Education, and I look forward to working with you. But I also want to say that I want to thank the former chair, Mr. Odong, who really we worked together. We entered into rough waters when we first started the year. Reflecting back over the course of the year, trying to navigate through the rough water, keeping our heads above the current that we were faced with, and trying to get to that destination. And that destination was really an island in front of us, I believe, that we both were striving to get to. And once we got to the island, we recognized each other's presence, we recognized each other's roles, and we knew the mission. And the mission is the best outcome for the public school system. And I think we worked through that, we built a beautiful, wonderful house, if you will, on this island in a figuratively speaking manner. And we performed well. And then we invited others, like the staff that we have in our key management, the rest of the board members to participate and kind of end up having a wonderful year last year. I thought we started rough, but we ended up with a beautiful, end of the year with many accomplishments that I thought we achieved together with the board, with this leadership as well, and my team and I think truly appreciate the work that has been given to us throughout the year and what we've accomplished. So, thank you, Chair, former Chair, and welcome to the new Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Chairman, Mr. President, I would like to thank you all from Chairman for the 1 year. We've been together side by side with colleagues working each other and trying to bring any new things or new skills for our school, especially for our teachers and our students. And I really appreciate it, all the hard works that you've done in working together and the laughter that all of we share. We appreciate you all. Thank you.
Member Huda, would you like to say?
Oh, thank you, Chair. Yeah, sure. Thank you to everyone for an amazing 2025. Definitely a new role that I took on. Also being a new board member. We definitely had some interesting waters, if you will. I'll stick with that metaphor, that we passed through. I do agree that there's a lot of room for learning as well and improvement. But I'm very excited at what was accomplished last year. I look forward to a good year under your leadership. And I do agree that we work together and operate with one voice. For those of you that didn't catch my report last night, I think there's improvement that can be made in the way of transparency and accountability at the board to help it filter down to the rest of the system. And all of the actions that I took, I stand by, and really were a result of our stakeholders' input and concerns that were brought to me. So I'm very excited to continue serving our community on the board. And here's to a great 2026. Thank you.
Thank you for your service. Anybody else? Since we're all making comments, would anybody else make some comments?
On behalf of the private schools, congratulate you, and also want you to keep in mind too that we represent 15% of the student body of the CNMI, and hopefully we can work together to address some of the concerns that the private schools have. Looking forward to working with you on that.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
No major comments, as I'm just a new member or part of the board as a new student rep, but I look forward to working with the other board members this coming year.
Congratulations to the new leadership. Thank you to our outgoing chair for all that you've done for the system, the teachers, students. Thank you to our new chair for saying you are open to listening to feedback from not just us here, but also from all the other stakeholders. So we look forward to that.
Thank you, everyone. All right, so let's move on now to item 2, which is public comments. Ms. Val, can you read the policy?
Ms. Madam Chair, pursuant to BOE Policy 0415, public comments are limited to 30 minutes. We ask that remarks be limited to 3 minutes each, and everyone is welcome to submit written comments. Madam Chair, I was forwarded public comment in email. Board of Education members, I'm writing to share a serious concern concern shared by many PSS educators about the new 72-hour austerity calendar and how it changes Mondays for teachers and students. Before austerity, Mondays were half days for students, and the afternoons were intentionally reserved for teacher preparation, collaboration, and meetings. That protected time wasn't a luxury. It was a built-in part of how we planned high-quality instruction, analyzed student needs, coordinated supports, and met as teams to make sure students were getting what they needed. Under the new calendar, teachers are now teaching full instructional days on Mondays. In effect, this restores students to roughly the same number of face-to-face instructional hours per pay period than we had before austerity. But that means the austerity isn't actually reducing the instructional burden. Instead, it is primarily eliminating teachers' protected prep and collaboration time. This creates a situation where the calendar changes are being absorbed almost entirely by educators, not by reducing student contact time. And the impact is immediate and predictable. Less time to plan lessons, less time to provide thoughtful feedback, less time to coordinate interventions, and less time to work with colleagues, all of which directly affects classroom quality and student support. I also want to address the suggestion that schools may offer professional development on austerity Mondays for differential pay. While we appreciate any effort to compensate teachers for extra time, there are still major unanswered questions. Will PD actually be offered every austerity Monday, consistently across schools and departments? Will these austerity Monday PD sessions always need to be structured, or will there be time set aside for independent teacher prep, as was the practice for most pre-austerity Mondays? Historically, those afternoons were used for the prep, team planning, meetings, and professional responsibilities that made daily instruction possible. If austerity Mondays become full student instructional days without protecting prep time elsewhere, then the outcome is not a balanced austerity plan. It is a loss of essential working conditions that support teaching and learning. I urge the board to reconsider how the calendar is structured and to restore protected prep and collaboration time for teachers in a clear, guaranteed, and consistent way. If austerity is going to exist, it should not function as a silent transfer of workload onto educators while maintaining the same instructional demands. If independent teacher prep time with differential pay isn't going to be made available on austerity Mondays, the board should re-implement the Monday half-day schedule for students. Thank you for your time and for listening to educators who are trying to sustain quality instruction under increasingly constrained conditions. Respectfully, Jeremiah Roth. Thank you.
Are there any other comments online or in the room?
You don't see any raised hands online, Chair?
Okay. Ms. Law, can you forward that comment to all the board members? Thank you. And we can refer it to committee for review. All right, since we'll move on. We don't have anything under item number 3, unfinished business. So let's move on to item 4, new business. The first, number 1 on the new business is the FY 2026 budget update. And I will go to Commissioner.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Thank you for the opportunity to present on our fiscal year 2026 budget. And we're prepared to present both the federal and the local side based on the board's desire. But I also want to, before going there, and clarify the 72-hour work period, because it is part of the budget, the local budget. We want to start there. We'll start by clarifying what I sent out a letter yesterday to all the principals. Last week I met with all the principals and discussed the implementation of 72-hour austerity measure. We could have gone with half a day on Monday for the bringing back one of those 2 Mondays, as part of the 72, and then the other Monday, which is austerity Monday, just be left alone on its own, to where nobody comes to work. So what we discussed though was that we came up with an option, which is to recover and to mitigate any more of the learning loss, because we anticipate another 10 days of austerity Mondays based on a 72-hour implementation. To recover the anticipated loss of learning, potential loss of learning, we decided we were going to make that one Monday that we brought back a full instructional day, just like a Tuesday, just like a Wednesday, it's a regular school day, to ensure that the instruction is given instead of a half day where not all schools are given the instruction and they're preparing and doing all those things. We'll make it a full Monday. Having said that, I gave the option for the austerity Monday for all principals to submit to me their plan, because they're given the opportunity to make the austerity Monday an optional day for professional development, for coordinating and intervention as mentioned, for any feedback that could occur based on the learning loss as a focal point of, not an attack, but a focal point of getting after to mitigate any more of, right? So that was the intent. Bottom line, it's a 72-hour work schedule. It's a calendar now from here on out that the board had approved on any one of those scenarios based on budget that we would implement. So implemented 72 hours with a full day Monday, but the other austerity Monday is an optional Monday for principals to report to me what they want to do with that Monday, and we will pay out of our federal funds the enrichment to the learning, if you will, based on given the opportunity for teachers to prepare for any intervention discussions, for feedback on the learning loss, so that we can then strategize to continue on with instruction across the board. If that makes sense. So I just want to make that clear, right? So there's a letter, and that letter, I hope, is trickling down to the last teacher on every campus to ensure that they understand what that means. And I appreciate the comments and the feedback. I've been working with the teacher rep as well, because she's been getting a lot of outcry with changes to the calendar. But at the end of the day, it's a complicated issue with very minimal resource that we are trying to make the best of. It is never going to be perfect, I can assure that. But without perfection, at least we can strive toward making it the best. Focused on learning for the students. That's all I want to say on that. We'll continue on with, let's hear about federal funds first, and then, because it says on the thing here, this FY26.
Yeah, let's do the federal funds
Okay,
first.
so Jackie, can we just provide a quick update to the board on federal funds, and then we get into the locals.
Good morning, board members. I'm the elected chair, Macy, Ms. Macy. This federal fund status report was presented to the FPA more than a month ago, and I want to go through an overview or summary of the report. But before I do, I want to confirm first whether everyone has a copy of the report in front of you.
Can you provide them, Ms. Chair, for the numbers of this, or?
Has been shared.
It may have been in the report.
Maybe in the FPA committees. Okay. But I can just give a very brief overview. There are 24 concurrent grants that are being implemented right now. These are not individual grants. These are sped grants that are operating as a result of last fiscal year and this current fiscal year. They're all on track to be spent by the end of the performance period. In totality, we are at 55.5% of funds expended. Under the consolidated grant, we are close to 50%, which is right on time. At this point, by December and January, we should be at 50%. Good news is this morning we received a call, an official call from the Department of Ed, that they are launching the new consolidated grant application, which is due in April. We've been working very closely with our external evaluators. They have published the comprehensive needs assessment. It's still being tweaked and will be shared with the board very soon. We have met with all the consolidated grant project leads, and we are scheduled to have a convening by the end of the month with all public school principals, PAC, key management, school leaders, and the board. So an invitation is forthcoming where the CNA will be presented and we'll have a work session to talk about what we can put in the grant application. A follow-up meeting with private schools will be scheduled in February so we can work on our own project and budget plan for the private schools. We do have good news under the American Rescue Plan. We have around $1 million of unliquidated funding, meaning that we haven't drawn down $1 million yet. Our deadline to draw these funds is by March, but by the end of January, we would have drawn down 100% of all remaining ARPA open encumbrances, making CNMI the first in the insular areas to do so. So very good news. I do want to commend the staff at FPO, finance, procurement, and all the school leaders for getting us to this point. 4 years of ARPA, and finally we are now closing the books on that. So great job to the team. A quick update too on some federal grant forecasting that we have coming up. Let's see. We were recently awarded the Maintenance Assistance Program and the Technical Assistance Program grant. Mr. Orsini did mention at the NPA to make sure we plug in how much we were awarded. We were awarded $400,000 for each of them. That is for school repairs and for technical assistance on our financial work, our finance work and credit units. There is an upcoming grant that is due early this year. It is the AWARE grant that will be addressing mental health in the school district. We are anticipating the notice of funding opportunity by February. So the mental health team have been aware, and there will be a committee working on that application, and we hope to get that. As you know, the AWARE grant did sunset last year. We had a lot of very good people on board. There were around 20 mental health and behavioral specialists that were funded. Unfortunately, we were not able to retain all of them because when they also sunsetted, we also did not have ARPA funds to sustain all employees, but we did absorb a couple of them under the consolidated grant. So now with the consolidated grant being due in April and the grant for AWARE coming up, we're hoping to kind of scale up the program so that we can better meet student needs this year. And that is it for my presentation. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Jackie. Speaking of forecasting, you had several you had several grants for the impact that were pending action. I was just wondering on the status of those, the EMI, the SEDS, the 2 CJP grants.
Yeah, so we did receive one of the grant. It was for the, if I'm not mistaken, the at-risk and educated youth program or the incarcerated youth program, but it was a $6,000 grant. Very, very minimal. That's not to say that there's not going to be enough support for this for students. It's just that is supplemental to the current grants that we currently have. So we were awarded that. That was awarded to the student support department.
How about the other?
No action yet for that.
No action.
Yeah.
And then from your line items, I was just wondering which of those funds the EWS?
The early warning system?
Yes.
The early warning system is funded under both the consolidated grant and the SLVS grant.
SLVS.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Any other questions?
I'm not a question, but more to the information of the board at this time that, as you're aware, that the administration, the federal side, the Trump administration, there's some changes that may take place. However, I did advise Ms. J that the most important of all the grants that we have, and that's special ed, early Head Start, and early intervention. We have to protect those grants as much as possible for the sake of our children. So I think that in all fairness to the grants that we have, if there's going to be reduction on those grants, at least those 3 areas of grants that I said, it needs to be protected. And I firmly stand on that because of the need for our children. And I want to thank Ms. J for keeping us abreast of that and to let us know more about what's taking place down the road. No? Thank you, Ms. J.
Okay. Any other questions? I wanted to ask, it's my understanding that the AWARE grant that still the case?
Yes, I believe it is.
Is there a way that the board can support the application to, I don't know, if there's something that the board can do to support the application, to strengthen it, I don't know, via resolution or letters, please let us know, because I know that, it's something that we had applied in the past and didn't get to multiple, because it's so competitive. So again, if there's anything that we can do, please let us know.
Yeah, want to commend the team that did put in a very solid application the first round. I met with a few of them yesterday, and they did say that they've learned a lot in the last 5 years, and maybe things that they could have done better or improved upon. So I think that they're in a good position to submit a solid application this year. We can do a resolution, we can do a letter of support, and we're also backed by the comprehensive needs assessment that we had, which showcased the need to have more support for our students, right? When we administered the universal survey, what came out as number one for a lot of our students, our teachers, administrators, and school leaders was safe and supportive schools. And we took a look at the YRBS and a lot of the data we had, and so there's still a high need. And I think we're really well positioned to submit another application this year, and I'm hopeful that we get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Final questions from Director Chang?
Chair? I also just want to acknowledge from MAP and TAP, which are very competitive locally, and also require that it be a priority under the administration. So this is also a reflection of the administration's support of this application. Good job on it.
Thank you. And I don't want to take credit for that work because the TAP was written by a committee and the MAP was written by a committee. For the MAP grant, we did work very closely with FDM to put the application together. And I was told that it was a very competitive process, right? 50 to 60 applicants from the CNMI, and they awarded less than 10. And both of our applications were awarded. So I really commend the great team at PSS for putting that together. And also to you, outgoing chair, former chair, because you did put in a lot of support for both applications, and you did connect us with OGM. So we're very appreciative of your hard work with that.
And thank you, Commissioner.
All right, Commissioner Chang, everything. Commissioner, move on to the local.
Yeah, I'm going to move on to the local. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.
So just want to real quickly go through the local appropriation and where we stand. But as everybody can recall, back in September, Public Law 24-14 was signed into law and appropriated us with 31.7, 153 to the board, and 31.7 to the rest of the public school system. That budget law was based on the identified budget resources for fiscal year 2026 of 179.7 million, lessening the year mark of 10 million with debt services of 41, and I'm just going through that law very quickly just so everybody can understand, with a total general revenue then available for appropriation of 127. So we lived through that with the 64-hour austerity, and then Public Law 24-20 on December 23rd was signed by the governor, giving PSS a revised budget of 36.2, and then the state board staying at $153,000. No change to that. And then the budget law was based on, again, identified revenue sources of 158, lessening the 55.1 year marks with debt services of 18.3, with a total revenue available for appropriation of 138, giving us, again, the revised budget of 36.2. So that was good news, right? And then there's another Public Law 24-19 that appropriated us another 936,000 to add on to the 36.2. That was out of an identified resources for appropriation of 3.7. Now what that does is 36.2 plus the 936 plus the 4.9 that we have available that was unidentified in our account giving us up to about $42 million. This is the reason why, and I thank the board for giving me the approving any other scenarios based on budget changes along the way. And almost towards the mid-year of our fiscal year, we now stand at $42 million with 72 hours steady measure, as I identified earlier and clarified what that means. I hope that there are no issues with the board on continuing on and implementing that for the rest of the school year. And we'll keep the board informed of any changes along the way. There are some stipulations, and I'll have John kind of talk about the stipulations on this new budget law. John, if you will, just go down the line. There are 6 stipulations, or no, 8 stipulations altogether.
Thank you, Commissioner. Most of the stipulations are still in place from the first appropriation law that was passed for the public school system. So the first one is to ensure that the funds are prioritized for personnel and operations, that we cannot use the appropriations for legal fees and cost of litigation, not limited to any payments for settlements or judgments. Number 2, no budgetary cuts or austerity measures shall be applied to teacher salaries, instruction positions, etc. Until all non-instructional administrative cost reductions have been exhausted, which we have been put into place. 96% of all PSS funds must be allocated directly to instructional expenditures. Number 3, $400,000 shall be reserved for inter-island travel and lodging accommodations for student competitions. $100,000 shall be reserved for teacher and support staff incentives and rewards. We shall provide a detailed expense report to the presiding officers of the legislature, chairperson of the House, Standing Committee on Ways and Means, and the Senate Committee on Fiscal Affairs within 30 days after the fiscal year 2026, so that is end of next year, or the current fiscal year, and that PSS shall PSS personnel assigned directly to schools, such as administrative personnel, support staff, and principals, vice principals, shall be exempt from any austerity measures such as furloughs and reduction in force, and that this protection may be subject to austerity measures before any school level personnel. Those are all existing from the prior law. The new changes or additions to the stipulations are that the Commissioner of Education shall submit to the Legislature, the Senate, and the House Committees on Fiscal Affairs at the end of each month a fund status report for all funds appropriated to PSS, and that the Commissioner shall meet quarterly with the chairperson of the Senate and House Committees on Fiscal Affairs and Ways and Means. Those are the 2 new ones.
So those are the stipulations. Thank you, John. Ladies and gentlemen, the appropriation of 36.2 plus the 936 plus the 4.9 again gives us 42. We're going with the scenario on 72 hours. Of the 42, we're going to give 35.9 to personnel. To school operations, $800,000. Central operations, $130,000, and the local match of $1.7 million. By law, we have to take out 1% of the 36.2, so 362 is going to go to instructional materials, and we're allocating 1.3 for utilities and debt service of $674,000. As mentioned earlier, the earmark of total of $500,000 is included in this plan on this scenario for 72 hours, giving ourselves a total operational cost of $6 million with a $35 million for personnel and $42 million operation for the rest of the fiscal year. And I can provide to the board in a more written format if you want what I just discussed. John, you want to go ahead and talk about the revised budget 72-hour schedule as far as the calendar is concerned?
Sure. The original calendar that was approved was for 180 instructional days, 10 professional development days for our instructional staff. The 64-hour calendar that was implemented in November due to the financial situation reduced instructional days to 157 days. because of the austerity Mondays every single Monday or every single week, and reduce professional development days to 8 days. But with this new 72-hour calendar, it raises instructional days to 167 instructional days and 8 professional development days. With this plan, there are only 13 lost instructional days versus 23 in the original austerity calendar. So by shifting to 72, it offers our students more instructional time.
Okay, and thank you, former chair, for signing on to the 72-hour calendar. That is already in place, and we can sit down and discuss that with you, Madam Chair, if you want later on. But some of the cost reduction measures will continue on that we've decided to implement since the beginning of the fiscal year, and we will continue to work on for the next submission of our budget request, which is not going to be the same number that we requested for this fiscal year. We've communicated that to both the administration and to the legislature, as well as been working with the board on cost reduction measures, because what we have right now operating, if we were to be given the $48 million, is not sustainable, as we know, based on economic conditions. So we've gone back and we will continue to work on reducing and reorganizing central office, right-sizing the schools based on enrollment, and we'll provide in more detailed fashion what all this means. But you know, on the restructuring of the central office, we'll be focused on functionality and rooted on effectiveness and efficiency, obviously, but it would include departmental consolidation and shifting of programs to streamline the processes that we have ongoing. So more to follow on the details of that. We'll continue to work with the FPA committee on that as well. The school right sizing is based on enrollment. It's going to be based on the declining enrollment that we foresee continue to experience, and we will manage the cost system-wide and see where there are opportunities to also reduce personnel at those schools that have lost enrollment. In addition to that, we will be looking at rezoning, and we'll provide the information to the board so the board can approve rezoning as recommended by us in the administration to give relief pressure on, for example, Marianas High School, and bring more enrollment to, for example, Catholic High School, who's losing a lot. So we'll show what that looks like. But that's the school right sizing. There are also opportunities to leverage other funding sources, and we've discussed this several times with grading of funding from federal. I'm really careful not to supplant, but to just supplement a lot of the things that we could do in a way of also personnel cost. So we'll continue to work that. The other austerity measures that are in place, John, you want to go ahead and discuss that?
Yes. So we have austerity measures in place as approved by the board. One is the salary adjustment freeze for certification that was put into effect from the November 1st board meeting. Also, the salary adjustment freeze for higher level degrees. So those freezes, although unfortunate for our good staff, our instructional staff in our schools, it is a necessary measure to take given the financial situation that we're in to control our personnel expense. Also, we have the travel suspension that is still in place from the Commissioner's directive. Although our travel outside of the CNMI is federally funded, 100%, that is the focus. The advances that we give our travelers is locally fronted. So it does impact our local funds. So far this year, we've spent about close to $500,000 in travel versus last year, which was over $3 million, and the prior year, 2024, $12 million in travel.
So the plan is to use that savings that we had on travel on this austerity Monday that we're giving the option to the principals and their staff to utilize as pay differential for coordinating intervention and strategizing on how to again mitigate loss of revenue.
The other the other measure that we have for cost reduction is the energy conservation, as directed by the Commissioner, for all offices and schools to be working towards energy conservation. And I looked at our cost for CUC. We've reduced our CUC cost by 22% from December, November versus October and September. So of course we hope to see greater savings down the road, especially if we have sunnier days in this spring and summer. We can leverage our solar versus having to tap into CUC. So there are potential savings from our energy conservation. And the last one is more of an internal practice, is a freeze on locally funded positions. As we have some separations, unfortunately, we have some folks who have been separating from the system. Rather than refilling locally funded positions, we have been working the finance office and HRO with the commissioner to shift resources, shift folks, and see how we can manage the workload versus having to announce and fill FTEs. So as much as possible, we want to do that, and that's going to work in conjunction with the right sizing. As we see, as the commission mentioned, we follow the trend and we follow the needs of the schools in the system. If there is a higher need elsewhere and other schools can make adjustments, we will shift personnel versus having to announce and fill. So those are the measures that we are currently practicing.
And lastly, the decision to reduce operational costs across the entire school district as well. And we collaborated with the principals on this, on finding ways to also sacrifice a little bit across the board on the operational funding to a lot of the things that we've been used to. And so sacrificing that, we're looking at, for the rest of the school year, across the entire school district, over 31% change. And what that means is, if you have certain expenditures for certain items or for certain things that you've been used to for the last several years, we're going to reduce it down to a minimal, to where it only is going to be focused on the health, the sanitation issues, and the safety of our students, and no other ways of spending any more beyond that. So just wanted to say that the end of all this is that we've been doing everything we can. But again, with no detriment to the learning that we will continue to experience, we're striving towards making sure that we mitigate any more of that loss of learning, but at the same time, finding other opportunities to reduce costs across the board. So thank you to your support board with all this, and we'll continue to work together.
And then just also to update, we have received all payments from the government from October to December.
I just have a couple questions. Yesterday you mentioned that and it was also mentioned today, that the incentive earmark of $100,000 is towards teacher excellence. Can you specify how you plan to utilize that $100,000?
Yeah, some of that is going to be used towards our LEAD program that we've already implemented. So it's just, as much as we don't want to be taught how to earmark some of the appropriations, I'm actually glad that we could find opportunities to increase teacher excellence through that earmarking and that stipulation. So it's a win-win for both the legislature who desired to see that out of us, and for us to actually utilize that towards that program. And there are other things that we've been talking about, but you and I have been working with the chair and members of the board on elevating the profession of teaching, right? Not everybody wants to be an administrator, and a lot of teachers want to be teachers for life. So how do we promote that and get them to have some sort of an advocacy voice of that, out of that as well? So a lot of that, and it's really comes in towards the beginning of that initiative through the LEAD program, and that LEAD program is utilizing our state teachers of the year, our teachers of the year, if you go across the district, to work together and also inform us on how to drive better the incentives for better, excellent teaching across the board. So yeah, we plan on giving more specifics on some of that, but I can already see that a lot of that is going to go towards that particular program that we've started.
You mentioned that the travel-free savings is, allows you to leverage the funding towards that optional PD. I had a question. Who is it optional for? Is it optional for the teachers, or is it optional for the admin to say whether or not the teachers have the option to go in and do this PD?
I empower the principals who are in charge of the teachers to work with the staff in the schools to come up with what options they want. Right? So no, I'm not empowering all the teachers to come up with their own. I'm empowering the people who are in charge of the teachers down in the schools to work together with the teachers to come up with a plan so that the teachers can have that incentive.
So theoretically,
opportunity.
if a principal doesn't want to do it, then that option will not be available to
I would
teachers.
like to hear from the teachers of that principal who don't want to do it, and we can work together from there. Because by all means, every one of the schools should come up with a plan utilizing some of that optional opportunity.
Thank you, Commissioner. Colleagues, any other questions regarding the local budget? Member Orsini?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Ugly, in your report, you mentioned that we're up to date as far as since October last year till now, the transmittal months, every bi-weekly, or is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, has there been any period of that time where there's a shortage of submission, or is it we're talking about full-time submission of every transmittal every 2 weeks?
It has not been timely of every 2 weeks. I would say it's about every 3 weeks.
Every 3 weeks.
Yes.
And I ask that because I want you to correct that in your statement to the board, because it's something that concerns me about that. One of the things that I like to thank that teacher, Mr. Rother from the high school level, Jeremy Rother, for his submission of this public comments and regarding the institution back of 72 hours for the every Monday. I think that, Commissioner, I think it's a prerogative on your part to provide from every school, high school, middle school, and elementary, an assessment report that would show whether or not these PDs or these sturdy Mondays are utilized to the fullest. I ask that because I don't want to hear that there's a repetitive type of PD that's been done before they're given again. That I think is something that I want to share with you guys. The other one is the fact that as far as the teachers are concerned, I think it means well for the principals to hear from them. Not to just merely put back 72 hours because we have the money. That doesn't mean that because we have the money, we have to put it back. What I'm saying is that we got to make sure that those monies are accounted for, especially those Mondays that are reinstated. Not to be wasteful here, guys. I'm telling you right now. At this point in time, I'm taking it that with the budget we have right now, we're going to go through the school year, finishing the school year at 72 hours. Am I correct, Commissioner?
Yes.
So in that regard, I'm hoping that in terms of looking down the road for the next school year, I'd like to request that the administration provide this board a total report of how many personnel out there, whether they be non-instructional or instructional, to provide whether they're going to be returning the next school year. I need to look at those figures. Those kind of the figures that we want to work with the legislature come down on our next budget. I'm not talking about the budget now, but the next budget. I'm hoping that, in terms of what we can do to put together a very solid formation for our school year is what I'm really looking at. Not now. I think we're okay now, but I think still we need to work on furthering the cause of transmittal. So that's the only thing I want to share with you guys. No? All right? Thank you.
Thank you, Member Orsini. Any other questions?
Yeah, Chair, I just wanted to also point out, I previously had also brought up to Commissioner to, as we were also going through some of the budget review, to also do some work looking into adjusting our fiscal year to align with what's happening at a majority of the school districts, and that is with the July 1 start date. It's going to take some time to look into it, but I think for planning purposes and budgeting as well, not only do most of the ed funds get awarded, July 1, but I think it'll also help for forecasting and anticipation of what the local government is preparing for and the resources we have.
If I may add to that, Chair, and thank you, Hodep. Yeah, when we started discussing this and you mentioned it, I did reach out to, at the last meeting I had with the Council of Chief State School Officers, CCSSO, I asked them to provide me an analysis of all the districts on when they start and end their fiscal year, so that we can also use that as part of our own analysis. And so I'm waiting back from them. They should be getting that information really soon. Because from what I hear too, just as mentioned already, most of the districts do start their fiscal year in July and in the end of June. So we'll look and see how that could be an opportunity for us as well. Of course, it's going to take some time, as mentioned, to really kind of get into it and then eventually make an approval to proceed with that. But at least we'll make sure that there's at least a study and an analysis that we can look at.
And if I may, also to align with the school year, right? And not be doing all these crazy budget changes in the first semester. So
it's good for school calendar prep,
right?
School year prep.
Thank you. I imagine that we can, in the FPA, right, as the FPA can request for reports and updates, and you can flush that out in committee. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. I have a couple of questions. Commissioner, in your report regarding local transfers, and I know that you mentioned also, Director Uggan, that you were up to date as of December, but the report that I have that was submitted to FPA is stating that the last payment received was November 7th. So can you update what the payments were after that and the total amount that we have received to date?
We've received several.
Okay.
Yes, and we received a large sum in December but to total everything since October, we received 7.9 million.
As of what date?
I believe it was December 22.
So October 1 to December 22?
Yes.
Is what amount again? I'm sorry.
7.4 million. Sorry, 7.9 million.
When do you expect the next transfer?
As we speak.
Sometime
this week. Okay.
This month, yes. They are structuring every month. They gave, so for the first 2 months, they split up the payments into, October was split into 5 payments. November was split into 4 payments, and December was split into 4 payments.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that they'll be paying us in those installments of 4 for January.
And credit, honestly, we do have open line communication with Department of Finance. When John reports that there's a delay, the former chair would call me up and ask if there's a delay. I would ask, and if there is, I'll pick up the phone and call Secretary of Finance, and before you know it, almost the next day we would get some sort of payment. So it's just a matter of processing for them as well, and sometimes it's a hit and miss, but we stay on top of it in a way of utilizing that open line communication network that we have already established.
But I'm curious in terms of efficiency and planning. Right? When we have irregular transfers like that, where we don't know from month to month when the transfers will come, how many transfers we'll get, and I imagine that causes challenges for the system. So I'm curious about what conversations you have had or plan to have with the administration to make those transfers more regular without us having to follow up, which is, I think, in the previous year, we were getting to that kind of rhythm of regular transfers bi-monthly or twice a month. And there were some hiccups here and there, but I thought the transfers were fairly regular at that time. I mean, at least we had a sense of what to expect.
Right, and it's all based on collection, right? And so from previous year, my experience, was working with late Governor Palacios, who proclaims every time I see him that the first thing he asks the Secretary of Finance is whether or not PSS is not shared. And I asked the Secretary of Finance, and she says that is absolutely true. And I hope that Governor Actang also has the same, questioning of Secretary of Finance every time he sees her. But I've yet to continue to establish that relationship. But I agree with you. There needs to be a sit down and kind of have a good drawn out plan, right? And even if it's on paper, just to agree and understand the needs of PSS and their prioritization of PSS. And just have that. So more to follow on that. But yeah, it's challenging, and I know they have a tough job trying to balance everything out as well.
Sure.
But,
Yeah.
Thankfully, though, although challenging in the beginning of the first quarter of this fiscal year, 26, we had the unassigned funds that were able to cover some of the shortfall, right? And that was the argument that we've always had with the legislature, is that if you continue on and not pass a revised budget, the allocation is going to continue to be lower than what we are spending on, even if we go to 64 hours. So we urge them to hurry up and, not hurry up, but to have a sense of urgency. And thankfully they've already revised the budget to give us a little bit more. So therefore the allocation then reflects the new appropriation, and we're getting almost the same amount that we're spending on, instead of being shortfall every month. If that makes sense.
Okay, thank you. I have one more question. When you talked about the freeze for locally funded positions, and I understand why that decision had to be made, but I just want to have a better sense of, because it's my understanding that many of those positions are school level, or bus drivers, or like people that impact the school function directly. So how has that freeze impacted our school's ability to function?
It's frozen until we look at it from criteria of critical needs, right? So if, again, we look at the enrollment, if one teacher decides to resign and it's a critical need for the principal for that one teacher, and the enrollment for the school year has been very low, and there's another teacher, maybe, there's ways, or we push in a sub to handle the rest of the school year and paying them less instead of the full time.
Yeah.
So,
and I agree with Member Orsini's request in terms of looking at the personnel numbers and positions and vacancies, so that we can start to kind of think on a high level way about the budget. And I know that we are starting to prepare, and hopefully that through the FBA you can keep the board updated on all of those. And I would like a more detailed report on the freeze of the locally funded positions.
Yeah.
At the next FBA.
I'm sorry, but if I may, there's also visibility already on who will not come back next school year, and who's leaving during the school year. So we've started investigating that, and we're getting numbers and actual positions on what that's going to look like. So.
Okay, that's great. That'll definitely help with budget planning. So thank you for being on top of that. Any other questions? Yes.
Chair, I wonder, I don't know if you're tracking, or maybe just through conversation, but Guam BOE is aggressively recruiting, and I don't know, and I've heard from different teachers too, that the people already have done it, but I wonder too if that's part of that number that you're seeing?
Maybe the number is less than the figures I have in one hand. So minimal, but yes, it's some of it has been influential to your point from that. So
just flagging.
Everybody knows 2 senior directors decided to retire and resign and move to help GDOE, right? And we're living through that. We're okay with that impact. But as far as teachers, I've heard of a couple teachers resigning based on economic and the conditions that we have, 64 versus 72, whatever the economic conditions are. and they've decided to go and find opportunities elsewhere.
Okay, thank you. Final questions regarding the local report, Member Orsini?
Thank you, Madam Chair, again. Commissioner, if you recall last year, we sent a very good love letter to the legislature and the governor, the executive branch, regarding our 25% slippage opinion. I would suggest that you make a follow-up, again, to ask the respective finance office and the legislative analysts there whether they are agreeable to what our so-called computation for our 25% for PSS. And if they disagree with that, then I think we got grounds to get a more clarification support from possibly the court, so that we can move forward. So to be in good tandem with our relationship with our folks there and making open our communication, I suggest that you do that on behalf of the board. Because I knew that if any action is going to be taken on the board through the court, it's going to be your name as far as irreparable harm is concerned by our attorney. So I ask that you do that spontaneously now that we're starting the year and we want to see where they're at, so that this board can be guided as to the decision to be made, whether we're going to pursue or not pursue. And that's it. That's all I'm saying right now. So I'm giving everybody a fair chance. Hopefully we get some positive remark, and if not, then we have the recourse to do Plan B again. No?
Member Orsini, I just want to make a note that that it's also the board's responsibility, right, to make sure that that happens. And we have been in conversation about this for years. And so I want to acknowledge the ad hoc committee last night did vote did take action on this and are recommending to the full board for further action. And so we didn't have time to put it on today's agenda, but I feel like it definitely should be on next agenda since you have already taken action and made that vote. And I think it's just time for us to make a decision. It's been time, quite frankly, in my opinion. I think we've had other conversations that need to be had about this. So, you know, clarity is what we are asking for, and I think it's time to make that decision. And the item that the ad hoc agenda voted on last night will be on the next. At least I will propose for it to be on the next agenda for the board.
I just want to be clear in your response to what I'm saying, Madam Chair, but I think that because of the fact that last year we never had a response, and I did mention to the fact that the executive branch and the legislative branch have a separate accountability for the PSS. We have our own as far as subjected by our legal counsel. So I'm just saying, in all fairness, at least for the start of this year, let's give them that chance. We put a deadline, maybe at the end of the month, Commissioner, and we don't hear any response or it's not to our favor, then we act, okay? That's all I'm saying. Give them the benefit of the doubt, because maybe everybody's got a busy schedule, know that, but we need to at least be a little bit, cordial in a sense. I'm just saying that. I hear what you're saying. It's been last year, but we're just keep on waiting for timeline, and I haven't heard from the commissioner in that regard to that letter that was sent out last year. I haven't heard any response, so that's why I'm saying a follow-up letter would be nicely done from our commissioner to the respective parties out there. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you, Member Orsini. Dr. Mara?
I'd like to state that I think they've responded through that bill stating they want to redefine what the civil opinion is. So I think there's already a response, just not directly to us, but to the community at large.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I agree. I think that was a very clear response. Did you want to add anything, Member?
Just, I'm not lost the words. Repeating your statement earlier about the decision that was made by the ad hoc committee last night, and report and recommendation will be forthcoming for the board's consideration.
Okay, thank you. But I do agree with you, Member Orsini, in terms of keeping the communication and the relationship cordial. And I think through the commissioner's advocacy over the last couple years, we have really worked hard to try and maintain that relationship. even through our attendance at, budget hearings and making comments and presentations and things of that nature. So, so we can discuss it more at the next board meeting when it's on the agenda. So, thank you. Yes.
Madam Chair, one more thing. I also want to just add for the board's reference to that. Personally, too, I've been sharing with our partners and leaders at the legislature too that's something that the board really wants, the clarity,
yes.
And that naturally the next step, unless councils advise otherwise, is really to go to the judiciary.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Which is the appropriate venue to gain that clarity. Okay. Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. All right, so let's move on. Thank you, Commissioner and Director Uggan, for that report. Let's move on to item number 2 under new business, which is the Head Start, Early Head Start policy update. Commissioner?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity to report on Head Start, and I agree with Member City that we need to protect and make sure we do everything we can with our Head Start program and special ed and early intervention and all the other wonderful things that are coming from federal partners. But to that point, with Head Start, there's been a lot of challenges, right? And in those challenges, I think Director Lathan has been able to navigate and work with me and also the chair and the rest of the board on pushing through so that we're in compliance. And what she's reporting today is something that had occurred between one of our teachers that we terminated in the Head Start program for something that occurred with the student, and to be in compliance, we had to make sure that we change policies, we implement training, and report back to Head Start. And I know she will report on when these conversations are going to occur with Head Start program and region, right?
Yes. So on the agenda, good morning, everybody. On the agenda today, we do have 3 policy updates for your review and approval. These policy updates are directly related to our quality improvement plan to address the deficiency on standards of conduct that happened a couple of months ago. The policy update is the final item needed for our follow-up review, which is happening next week. So with the deficiency, standards of conduct was the main policy that we needed to be in compliance with. We went ahead and looked at other policies that are needing updates just because it's been many years since we updated, and the Head Start performance standards has been updated several times. So in front of you today, we do have 3 policy updates. One is 60-60-905, which is the Head Start standard of conduct. The next one is 60-60-416, which is behavioral management. And the last one is 60-60-525, student welfare and standards of conduct, which requires the minimum qualification for positions. These updates were presented to staff for feedback. It also went to legal counsel. It was approved at policy council and FPA in December, so we're bringing it forward. For Head Start standard of conduct, we basically strengthened the current policy from a general statement of expectations. In the updated policy, we expanded coverage to include anybody in contact with Head Start, early Head Start students. We also added clear definitions of key terms and prohibited behaviors, and included practical examples for anyone that's reading the standard, right? We strengthened reporting, investigation, accountability, and monitoring. We embedded early identification process so that we're catching several behaviors before it becomes a non-compliance. And we also included mandatory trainings that happen upon hire and several times throughout the school year to ensure that everyone is aware of our standard of conduct regulations. Again, the standards of conduct are fully aligned with the Head Start performance standards directly on the standards of conduct. In order for us to address standards of conduct, one key item that we looked at was behavior management and how teachers address behaviors in our classroom. So we also recommend to update 416, which is behavioral management. The behavioral management looks at positive guidance practices. It looks at reinforcing staff accountability. But more so, it clearly identifies prohibited disciplinary actions and allows for us to work with teachers, right? So there's that support system with coaching and monitoring that's now in place. It also clarifies staff responsibility in regards to behavioral management, and it looks at how can we work with families when we are challenged with behaviors in our classrooms. The last piece that we are looking to update is directly on minimum qualifications. Our current policy only identifies required qualifications for classroom staff. With the updated policy, we included every single role in Head Start as required by the Head Start performance standards. So I looked at education, credential, as well as competency standards for all required positions in the program. So those are the 3 updates that we're requesting approval.
Thank you, Dr. Annie. Any questions before we take action on these?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I just want to report to the board that the FBA has the honor and privilege to have heard and reviewed these proposals from Head Start and Early Head Start as far as updates. I think the gist of this whole thing is more on the idea of parents and families of the students, not so much about the students. And I think this is a need in policy to be in place, so I'd like to make a motion to move to approve these 3 particular policies. Head Start standards of conduct, behavior management, student welfare, and standards of conduct with minimum qualifications. I move for approval.
Thank you. There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All right, yes, any discussion? Okay, Ms. Dow?
Yes, Madam Chair. Antonio L. Borja.
Okay.
Anthony de la Cruz Martinez.
Yes.
Ashmar Koya Uludon.
Yes.
Andrew L. Orsini.
Unga.
Macy B. Tenori.
Yes.
Madam Chair, all 5 members vote yes.
Thank you, Director Iron. Let's move on to item number 2 of new business, which is proclamations. Commissioner?
Yes, ma'am. First proclamation is Career Technical Education Month. We have somebody here to present what the details of that could be.
Good morning, everyone. So on Friday, January 30, 2026.
By the way, I'm going to interrupt Director Lorraine. Director Lorraine is the acting Senior Director for Office of Curriculum Instruction.
We're 20 hats, huh?
All right. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Again. So on Friday, January 30, 2026, the CNMI Public School System proposes to hold a career and technical education proclamation to recognize the important role that CTE plays in helping our students prepare for real world and future opportunities. In celebration of February as CTE month, the proclamation highlights the growth of CTE programs across our key fields such as construction, information technology, health sciences, hospitality and tourism, business, education, and digital media. It will also recognize the strong partnerships with our local college, our training institute, businesses and industry partners that support hands-on learning, industry certifications, and dual enrollment opportunities for our students. The proclamation will celebrate the recognitions earned by our CNMI students and educators, reflecting the success of our CTE program in equipping our students with practical skills, confidence, and pathways to college, careers, and lifelong success.
Thank you very much, Dr. Cassetta. Thank you also for stepping up into that role in addition to your role at ITP. So thank you.
Happy to support.
Yes.
Chair,
Yes.
may I? Just to also point out to please amend the chairperson on the proclamations to reflect our new chairwoman.
Thank you for that. But if I may, she's acting is 3 months until we go past 3 months and we go into RIM. So at this point in time, I collaborated with the former chair on how to go through with this loss of 2 senior directors over the 3 that we currently have, right? And decided that we would not open up that position, those 2 positions for permanent hiring until such time because of the certain measures and the reorganization of the central office. So decided to go ahead and implement actingship for the rest of the school year, if you will. So you will see a 3 month, and then we'll go through that. with the two senior director losses. So it's been the decision, in case you want to know.
Thank you.
All right,
Any
so-
questions regarding proclamations?
Well, there's a Pupil Transportation Week proclamation.
Madam Chair, if I may, for purposes of time, I'd like to move that the three proclamations presented, of course, the first one from our good acting director here, letter A, Career and Technical Education 1, People Transportation Week, and CNMI School Counseling. I'd like to move that we approve that as presented.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
My second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All those in favor of the motion to approve the proclamations as listed, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Dr. Castanza. So let's move on to item number 4 under new business, which is special education, part B. Commissioner?
So Ms. Donna, Director for Special Education, is also acting Senior Director for Student Sports Services for at least 3 months, but she will report on Special Ed Part B this morning.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, of course, exiting Chair Coda for your year of service with us. As presented, as shared, we have here the 2025 APR, Annual Performance Report for the Special Education Program. Just for your review and acknowledgement as stakeholders for our special ed program. And we will be submitting this on or before February 2nd to the Office of Special Education Programs. And this is something we do every year. It's all data driven, we can't tweak it. So it is what it is, and this comes straight from the schools. We have 18 performance indicators for Part B, and that's K to 12. So for your review, for your perusal, we've submitted it for you.
Thank you also for stepping up into this position. This is just for information, right? You don't need action?
Yes.
Or approval?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any questions regarding the Part B APR?
Madam Chair, by review and privilege of the PA committee reviewing this and looking through it thoroughly, I move to approve the Special Education State Performance Plan and Annual Performance Report as presented as Part B.
I think it's my understanding that it doesn't require action.
Yeah, but I'm just for the record. Just for the record. Just for the
Got
record.
it.
Yeah.
It won't hurt. Thank you. Wait, there's a motion. Can we just get a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Discussion. Go ahead.
I just have a question on page 16. On the previous page before that, it says that there is more than 1%. It's highlighted. Is that alarming?
It's not, it's been brought, are you talking about the assessment?
The indicator 4A, long-term suspension, expulsion, significant expense.
I mean, it's not a cause for alarm, but it's something that we do look into, and then we go in and we proceed to provide, whatever support we need to at the school level. So, of course, we've seen an increase, in behavior issues over the years since the return to face-to-face. So, and more kids are being identified as needing extra support, behavioral support, while in the classroom and while on campus. So, especially our kids, who have IEPs and who have been diagnosed with particular needs. So, it's just something we go in and we provide that extra support to. We go in and we check with the schools. We work closely with schools up here at the district office, and that's when we go in and we target the support that's needed at the school.
Thank you.
So, yeah. And this is prior year reporting, so it's not for the school years for the previous year. And a couple of them are also a year lag, so it's from school year 22-23 and 23-24. So you'll see those differences, particularly when it got closer to the resumption of face-to-face and coming back into in-person classrooms.
Thank you. Any final questions before we vote?
Move for the vote.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of approving special education Part B annual performance report, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, the motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Donna. Let's move on to number 5 under new business, which is early intervention, Part C, annual performance report.
Please go ahead.
Hi, good morning. Thank you. I'm here. Thank you. So Part C, annual performance report is due February 2nd. We have 12 indicators that we report on. I reported this to the FPA, and I think you guys all have the PowerPoint and the at a glance of our data. For the most part, we've met targets, and we've met our performance targets for the school year. We're actually doing fairly well. If you'd like me to go into the PowerPoint, I can. Like Donna mentioned earlier, the data is what it is, and it's as stakeholders, as the State Board of Education, you should know how your infants and toddlers with disabilities and their families are doing. And so it's all in front of you. If you'd like me to get into more.
If maybe one thing that you felt that you wanted to highlight to the board?
Sure, thank you. So at the FPA meeting, I think one of the things that was discussed was about child find and how many infants and toddlers below age 1 we serve compared to how many birth to 3-year-olds we serve. And based on the CNMI 2020 census that we use, indicator 5, which identifies children birth to 1, we served 11 infants out of 689. We've met our target. And for indicator 6, which looks at children birth to 3, I think we served 77 out of a total of 1,891 children in the CNMI at 4.07%. We also met our target. But I do recall that at FPA, I was asked about, are we serving enough infants and toddlers? My response was, yes, we are, based on our performance and based on our target that we continue to work towards. A lot of the efforts that our activities that we do to get these babies and families in the program reflect on our child find activities. An example of our child find activities is the relationship we have with CHCC. We have an interagency collaboration relationship. When babies are born with a disability or with an established condition, they automatically refer to us, which they automatically qualify should parents agree to services. Another step we have is we go out to Tinin and Rhoda twice a year. We walk the streets, we perform screenings at no cost to families to help families understand the importance of child development and share with them what their child's milestones, what they should look for with their baby. If you have a 5-month-old mom, this is what a 5-month-old should be doing. And so that was, I think, a highlight of the FPA meeting, talking about our child find activities and making sure that we continue our services and to continue identifying and evaluating, providing services to those that need.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank
I have
you.
a question, but
Yes.
Any questions for Colossians before we? Member Orsini?
Madam Chair, again, I'd like to move the presentation of the early intervention was reviewed and scrutinized with the FA committee, and I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Part C state performance plan and the annual performance with the early intervention Part C.
Thank you. There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, thank you. Member Porter, discussion. I have a question.
Yes.
So as you were sharing the stats, I was wondering, like, where are those referrals coming from? And then you mentioned your partnership with CHCC. Are all of those referrals from the hospital, or are there any self-referral or walk-in?
So our primary referral sources, the biggest number is CHCC, NICU, pediatrics, early hearing detection. So those babies born who are deaf and hard of hearing. Families can walk in, but our main referral source is CHCC, NICU, and pediatrics. About 147 from CHCC, if I'm not mistaken. Yes.
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the work that you do also.
Thank you so much.
All right, there's a motion that's been seconded. So all those in favor of approving the early intervention Part C annual performance report, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, let's move on to item 6 under new business, which is the Emergency Operations Program School Vulnerability Assessment Report.
Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you to the outgoing chair for mentioning to put this on the agenda. So we've done the vulnerability assessment on all school campuses. Currently, as we speak, the other vulnerability assessment is on traffic at all the school campuses that is being conducted at the time. So more to follow on the outcome of those vulnerability assessments that are ongoing right now for traffic. With that, we are providing the board the overall school vulnerability assessment report that was conducted and had been submitted last fall. You can look through that and then let me know if you have any issues, but just know that the new year presents an opportunity for me to, and my team from Key Management, to go down to every school like we did last year with Data Dive. And we're going to be talking to them about safety and facility maintenance at all the schools, so we have a better understanding and looking at the data when it comes to that, and also hearing their story when it comes to, again, school safety. And that's, again, you know, the comprehensive needs assessment, it's a strategic priority, it's all these things that even our parents and our stakeholders in the community want us to focus in on, and so we will be doing that. It's great that you have this report, so at least it gives us a bit of information on what we've assessed. Now it is time for us to go down to the school level and actually have a discussion with the folks that are impacted on this vulnerability assessment, if you will, and be able to kind of gain more knowledge and find solutions to a lot of these issues. Not every one of these issues is going to be fixed right away because of, again, training and funding, but we'll do our best to see how we can mitigate any more of these vulnerability areas for the sake of our school safety and health concerns that we have ongoing in the campus.
And since we all just received this, maybe we'll take some time to review it. And then I also am thinking of referral to CIP and possibly SICPP for further discussion and review.
Yes.
Member Orsini?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Again, you know, Commissioner, I applaud you for this, but it would be nice in future meetings with the board when you present something like this as far as the vulnerability assessment report. I'd like to have the person, Mr. Anthony Frank, present so that we can ask him directly, since he's the guy that made all this planning. I appreciate hearing from you, but I think it's more likely that we hear from the person that put this together. We had our CIP meeting yesterday. I did bring out the attention about the current school facilities that are undergoing repairs and so forth. I did ask you and the FDN whether there is a actual plan that is in place for these things that are where those schools that are going for update, renovation and uplift. So I hope to see that as soon as possible. But I like to have the presenter of this report be present in the future board meetings so that we can actually entail to ask questions for the person. No?
A couple of things, if I may, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Sir, thank you. Tony Frank would be here if he wasn't out there doing a vulnerability assessment on traffic right now. So he's busy working with the mayor's office, the Department of Public Safety, even CHCC and all the other partnering agencies that we have ongoing and Public Works, really, to look at the vulnerability on traffic ability of our students coming in and out of our campuses. So he's out there with them. But yeah, you're right. We'll make sure. The only thing on the maintenance and facilities, just know, as we've already discussed before, the SASE grant has in place right now undergoing a planning for the 10-year maintenance plan that we have for our facilities to include a lot of the other things that are going on being fixed by FEMA funds right now. So more to follow on all those things.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Chair, Mayor. And as you said, Commissioner, thank you. The traffic vulnerability assessment is wrapping up now on Saipan, and then it's going to go to the other islands. Perhaps too, that could also be included as the delta from the September assessments for traffic. But I'm wondering too if, Madam Chair, I guess it would be CIP. I'm not sure if it was done before, but as far as assessment of sidewalks, and I had the opportunity to join some of these assessments over the last couple of weeks, and I think two areas too that I really noticed were FMS and Cagman, going from the high school down to Tank Beach, only because I live down that way. But I do see the hazard and risks to our students.
Don't be sorry for like falls in that category as well.
Right. And I was happy to take part because I didn't realize too how the weather also really affects attendance and the ability of our students to get from home to school. And then you also see really just how many walkers there are.
Right. To add to that, sir, ma'am, if I may, last year the principal at Cobbler Elementary brought up the issue on the distance, the perimeter, the area distance that our buses are given the leeway to pick up students, right? And if they fall within that distance, then they don't get picked up by the buses. But because of weather and all that, we had to work through that and realign our busing so that those students who are passed by the same bus to deliver the students outside of that area can also hop on that same bus that would typically be halfway empty as well. And it was because of policy and all that we had to work through that. I'm glad that former chair and I worked through that with the principal and mitigated that. So yeah, a lot of that, and that's why we're doing this vulnerability assessment, right? For not just foot traffic, but looking at vehicular traffic, busing in and out. And certainly I think you've had discussion with DPW director on at least the sidewalks for Cagman area and all that. So we'll continue and we'll report back.
Chair, just one more point, and before our meeting started, we were having a quick chat with Member Mura and our student rep. But I think, and not to prolong this topic, but Member Mura, I know that at Saipan Southern, right, there's a gate that's not necessarily open early enough, and that impacts the walkers, so they end up having to walk farther to go to the front. So maybe Commissioner, just quickly look into that.
Yes, we have to work with the neighborhood, neighboring houses in that area, so we'll work through it.
And if you can, with DPW in regards to like the crosswalks being repainted.
Yes, and those are, thank you for bringing that up. Those are some of the biggest things, right? And even when students don't get the crosswalks, still passerbys zoom through. And so we're working through that, and even DPW talking about the big type of road bumps speed bumps, but they're like the white ones that we see at the airports where you go up
Sure,
and, in the major highways just to, so we're working through DPW again, Mayor's office, and a lot of the other government agencies to make it up that. Certainly crosswalks is one of the ones that a lot of the principals have been asking for.
Yeah.
And one more, I think maybe it's the issue of parking. Sometimes you see like staff parking near their classroom too, during school hours and stuff like that. We don't want some kind of accident to happen. There's nice parking lots that we have, and then you have them going to the backside.
For convenience purposes.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, any other questions or comments before we move on? Okay, thank you, Commissioner. We look forward to updates on this very important assessment. All right, let's move on to item number 7, under new business, the CLO SOPs. Ms. Long or Ms. Dahl?
Yes, thank you. Ms. Jolene apologizes for not being able to attend today's meeting due to personal matters. The internal auditor has been working with the staff of the board office to establish SOPs for the BOE admin section, SARC, and CLO. The SOPs for the BOE admin and SARC are pending and will be presented to the FDA committee upon completion. For today's meeting, the internal auditor has for the board a copy of the final draft CLO SOP that was presented to the FDA committee on December 17, 2025. The draft CLO SOP was moved by the FDA committee to the full board for review and approval for adoption through board resolution. The FDA committee also requested that the draft CLO SOP be reviewed by the HRO director prior to adoption, to which the HRO director has completed her review without any recommendations for revisions. The internal auditor welcomes any recommendation for revisions that the board may have and appreciates the adoption of this document should there be no further recommendations for revision. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dahl. Any questions, colleagues, regarding the certification and licensure SOPs? I know that Ms. Jones is working very hard on all the SOPs. Any questions? Anything you want to share from the FDA member or scene?
Yeah, just to enlighten the board members here that this has been thoroughly heard and reviewed by the FDA committee, legal counsel, our HR director, and so forth. So I don't see any potential problems to this, to the effect. However, if it's to be in place as we go along, we could actually do some tweak or amendment to it as we move forward with this proper proposal that we have. So this thing from the internal auditor is long becoming to be put in place, and I just like that as the FDA chair, I like to recommend that we approve the proposed CLO procedures as in place and starting effectively upon the board approving it today. That's where I stand. So I make a motion.
There's a motion on the floor, so second. Thank you, Member Kuda. Any discussion? Okay, no discussion. Ms. Bob, can we take a roll call vote, please?
Sure. Anthony De La Cruz Barcinas.
Good.
Antonio L. Borja.
Good.
Andrew L. Orsini.
Good.
Asha Marcoya, Lugumuro Puludon.
Yes.
Macy D. Tenori.
Yes.
Madam Chair, all 5 members voted yes.
Thank you, colleagues, and thank you to Ms. Jolene for the updated SOPs. So let's move on to item number 8, which is the CLO report. Ms. Long?
Good morning, everyone. I have here the CLO report 2025-19-05 that has been approved by the FDA committee on December 17, 2025. The report consists of 30 candidates who have submitted completed applications to the certification office from September 13, 2025 through November 20, 2025, with the certification salary freeze effective December 2nd, 2025. This will be the last batch of recommended candidates to receive any salary adjustment. For the Basic 1 certification, we have 12 recommended candidates. Basic 2, 4, Standard 2, Professional 3, Basic 1, Instructor 1, Specialized 1, Instructor 1, and Traditional Workman 3 of 6.
Thank you, Ms. Long. Comments and questions? Comments?
Motion to approve the presented, Madam Chair, the proposed report from our certifying officer, Ms. Ivan Guerrero, and as presented, the CLO report number 2025-19-05 as presented.
Thank you, Member Orsini. There is a motion. Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you, Member Koda. Any further discussion?
Move for the vote.
All right, Ms. Val, can we do a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Madam Chair. Antonio L. Borja.
Good.
Anthony De La Cruz Martinez.
Good.
Ashmar Cole Fernando Obrador.
Yes.
Andrew L. Orsini.
Again.
Macy B. Tenori.
Yes.
Madam Chair, all 5 members voted yes.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Ms. Yvonne, for all the work that you do. And just to clarify that we'll continue reviewing the certification.
Yes.
The salary adjustments won't apply. All right, we're moving along. The colleagues, executive session, are there things that, is there a need for an executive session at this time? Anybody have
Do you want to
anything?
ask council if there's anything that we need to review?
Okay, I will, I just want to make sure with the members that we don't have anything to discuss. I don't see who's on there, is it to be?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, nothing on my end that's pressing for executive session.
Okay, all right. All right, since there are no items for executive session, we'll move on to miscellaneous matters, which is the commissioner's evaluation and scheduling.
I have one more item on the miscellaneous matters, if you don't mind. It's
Okay.
just the last minute announcement. Before you go on to the.
The FDA committee had duly notice of the actual required evaluation for a COE for the second year of his service. I think we're a little bit over the scheduling date, but I think we can still do so as presented. Commissioner has been already forwarded the actual evaluation questions, preparing the response to those questions, and hopefully that the full board can call for a meeting, a special meeting, primarily just for this particular matter, and if we can schedule a date and time, that would be very nice for everyone, so that we can move forward with the commissioner's evaluation. Keep in mind that this now is the second year of the commissioner's service to the board as far as his 4-year contract, but as required by his contract, we need to stipulatedly evaluate him by means of being fairness to the commissioner and the board itself. So I leave this up to the board now to decide when would be the best probable time to schedule the date and time for this evaluation itself.
Thank you, Member Orsini.
Before, I know you're to entertain the dates, thank you, sir. And I'm looking forward to the evaluation, to be honest with you, but I just have submitted a request for personal leave between the 24th of January to the 3rd of February.
Okay, all right, we'll definitely
I'll be
take that
online
into
for other
consideration.
nonprofit.
So maybe what we can do, and I just have a clarifying question, Tibi. I know that the contract requires a 15-day notice, and I know that we noticed through the FPA committee, Commissioner, that the evaluation is forthcoming. Does that include the date? Do we need to give 15 days notice for the date, or just a notice that we are in the process of the evaluation?
I would say it's a 50-day notice of the date, but it's a contract, it's not a regulation. So if both parties, if the commissioner would like to waive that, or he's okay with lesser date, then both parties can agree on a timeline. This is not mandated that he receive 15 days by law, just the contract. And the contract itself says a yearly evaluation. So I think if he goes on leave, then we can, if we set a date after he gets back on leave, I think that's proper notice.
Okay. So members, if we agree, we can schedule this via email and work with Commissioner's upcoming leave that has already been approved. And also considering the 15-day notice for the meeting. Does that work for everyone? Okay. All right, thank you. Commissioner, does that work for you?
Yes.
Okay.
What
All right. Sure. Sorry, just one more thing on the evaluation. I know in the past, what we did have done in the past is, or I don't know if this is proper to talk in public, but in terms of the process, similar to last year, I thought would be.
I think Member Orsini mentioned that I've been given the 19 or 20 different areas to self-assess and then present that to the board, and the board then meets and discusses my assessment, and then we bring me in and each of the board.
Okay. Alright, that sounds good.
Just to be noticed, like that the last evaluation done on the commissioner and the questionnaires that were provided were, was that pre-pandemic questions at the time. So now that we've revised that to now fit in with what his current role from the last time that we've evaluated is in place right now. And council had reviewed that, put the input, and we send it out to all the members for any input. So far I have not, Ms. Valerie, have no input from any member, so I guess it stands as what is being presented at this time.
All right, thank you, Member Orsini. All right, so we'll figure it out via email. Thank you, Commissioner. Did you have another thing to add?
Okay, Ms. Donna, can you present on the cooperative education?
This is just a presentation.
Yeah, it's just an announcement actually.
Oh, announcement.
Real quick.
Just quickly, thank you so much. Thank you for all the proclamation approvals, and of course invitations were sent out inviting the board and of course our leaders to attend the Cooperative Education Program's Fall 2025 End of the Year Appreciation Event. And this will be tomorrow from 11 to 1. If you're able to join us, please do. We're celebrating all our business partners who have graciously taken in our students and affording them opportunities to have hands-on learning opportunities through our co-op program. So if you're able to join, I do believe the invitation was sent out to board members, as well as on the 27th, our school counselors proclamation signing. That will be on Tuesday, January 27, and we ask that if you're able to join, please do. We appreciate your support, your continued support in promoting and appreciating those who provide this type of support to our students down at the schools. So the venue is in the works, so once the venue is confirmed, we will share that with your board staff, who can then share it with you as well. And I believe there are a couple of other proclamation signing events that we would surely appreciate your presence at.
Yeah, and just to add on real quickly, on the CTE that the board has approved on for proclamation, I remember vividly last year, former chair really was wanting to see the school calendar, or at least the calendar of events when it comes to CTE. So we'll be providing that to the board. Can you make sure that every board member has, so that you have an opportunity to go down to the schools and see their CTE events throughout the month, right, since it's a proclamation.
And I also want to know that the board also has a co-op intern, or you have a co-op intern this semester. So board members, if you're available to attend the luncheon tomorrow, also in support of all students, but also in support of the GOE. Yes.
Chair, thank you for mentioning that. I was going to bring it up. And also much thanks, Commissioner, to also Mr. Brandon Nicholas. This was the first time, I guess, in a while that a co-op intern was assigned to Central and specifically to the board. It might be the first time at the board level, but I did see the impact on that student and recommended to Brandon that we also explore the next round of students to give them that opportunity. And I hear that there are interested students, so it's a really great way also for our own students to understand what's happening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you, Ms. Donna. That concludes our member Orsini.
Yeah.
For miscellaneous.
My apology. I also primarily submitted another item that I wanted under miscellaneous. I'd like to make on record that the board is instructing our SARC officer, Mr. Bob Codine III, making sure that that's the proper person addressing. If you could probably get with us on a possible meeting again for the board regarding the recent announcement from the Department of Youth Services regarding about 900 some uses that have taken place within the given year, and my concern there is more on students that are in that particular number. I want to instruct him that he should get with the DYS to find out if there are any students and to come about with a report as to what's taking place with those students. Being that they are students, minors. Of course, I'm not after the names or what, but the confidentiality is in place, but to ensure that those students are provided the proper care and attention that is needed for them. So I hope that Mr. Coding can provide that on the next board meeting, whether it be the regular or special, when he can do that. So I think that's in proper place for him to do that. So I want to be on record for that. That's it.
Thank you, Member Ursula. You can also ask him to work with the Commissioner at the SICPP committee, which often reviews the child abuse and neglect reports that come into the Commissioner's office, into PSS. Okay, any additional miscellaneous matters before we move on? I do want to remind all of us that there is a 1 p.m. training from OPA regarding ethics. I strongly recommend all of us attend. If you have not attended an ethics training before, to attend the one at 1 p.m. with the Office of Public Auditor, and that is 1 p.m. here at the BOE office. Is that correct, Ms. Bell? It's here, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so I'm glad that we're wrapping up with enough time for folks to grab food and then come back. Let's move on to item number 7, which is a discussion of agenda for next board meeting. Are there any, I've noted quite a few things that we've talked about already, but is there anything that members really want to add on the next agenda? I'm aware that the initial draft of today's agenda was quite lengthy, so we can make sure to add those for next time and address those items. But is there anything else that members want to add right now? We can also discuss it over email.
Do you want to mention what you have noted?
Oh, yeah, sure. So for referrals to different committees, the Emergency Operations Program, to CIP and FPA, I was also thinking about what Member Orsini has talked about with regard to the SARC report and the Child Abuse and Neglect report. More information regarding the local budget report, and then the local and federal budgets. And then all the other stuff that was on the draft agenda for today. Anything else you want to add?
25% is part
Oh,
of
yes,
the-
and that, yes, I'm sorry, yes, that, from the ad hoc committee.
And then perhaps also the comments on, after further review on the 72-hour
Mm-hmm.
work week, based on public comment.
Sure, sure.
I'd like to move now for adjournment, Madam Chair. There's no other matters to discuss.
Yes, yes. Member Orsini wants to, yeah, go ahead, Member Cota.
Yeah, Chair, so I did, as we were drafting the agenda for today's meeting, I did make a point that I would like to see that we're more accessible to the public in person in our meetings. So if that can be set up for our next board meeting at a more public venue and at a time that is convenient for the community.
Yeah, and I agree. I was also thinking that in the past, we used to go live on Facebook. Maybe that's something that we can talk to our IT folks to see if we can go back to doing that, or YouTube like the legislature does. I think that would also increase access for those who cannot make it to a venue, for example, or don't want to do the Zoom. Ms. Bao, and then Commissioner, Commissioner?
I just want to mention that we tried to start this tradition last year on getting students to be highlighted before the board meetings, where we brought in like student competition students who performed really well in particular competitions, and we kind of, so they see the board, you know, the community sees them, and if we could have performance or whatever, I'll come up with whatever it is and I'll let the board know. But if that could also, it doesn't have to be an agenda item, but if that's something that you would allow for students to, you know, be highlighted before board meetings, regular board meetings.
Or as part of the agenda.
Yeah. Or as part of the
What other report? Ms. Bao, and then we'll go to Member.
I actually just wanted to share, Madam Chair, that it is
also share on Facebook.
Okay, yeah.
It continues.
The link, right, but not the live.
It is.
It's not on Facebook.
Oh, we are live. Okay, I wasn't aware of that. Okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That's good to hear. Member C, you have a motion to?
I move to adjourn if there's no other further discussion. I like this meeting like this, fast and quick. It's not,
Thank you, Member Orsini. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Member Koda. All those in favor of adjourning today's meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Those opposed, stay, they stay.
Yeah, thank you all very much. This meeting is adjourned. It is 11:03 a.m. I'll see you all at 1 p.m.
This is Marianas Press. News you can trust. Journalism by journalists. Credible, fact-based reporting. We'll ask the hard questions.
And there are those online, no shortage of comments on this, who are accusing you of being corrupt.
Sure.
Are you a corrupt politician?
Absolutely not.
MP is here for the community, centering your story, amplifying your views. Every voice matters.
As a widow and someone who's trying to survive here to raise her kids, this CUC cannot be taken from the less fortunate.
Those elected officials need to return all those leased vehicles, reduce their salaries, and not the poor people burdened with their stupidity.
MP is there during good times and challenging ones.
I'm still sad today.
MP goes there to document history.
This is one of those opportunities that we have to take.
To inform our future.
And now it's time for those educated, younger voters to make a decision that, don't just vote because he's your cousin. Vote because he or she is going to do what's best for the Commonwealth.
This is Marianas Press, where every voice finds its story.
Marianas Press, all the way.